Welcome to another creative exploration with me, Tammy Collins. Today we're going to be doing chicken feathers. Here's the inspiration. This is Misty, aka Mist, and Shirley. This is a sneak peek at what I made. And we're just having some fun. We're just doing an exploration on these. This color palette is really what I was after. And they are it's just a stunning combination of this sort of orange and yellow and brown and tan and silver. And I just wanted to see what that would look like on a paper in a different medium. I just wanted to play with it. So I'm just loosely drawing in a composition. A quick tip here is that sometimes it helps. I just did a Google search of feathers, and it just kind of quickly reminds me of the different types and styles of feathers, and it just puts it sort of fresh top of mind. And then when I go to sit down and draw it, I have some ideas in my head to pull from. I'm not copying anything. I'm not, replicating. I'm just sort of putting in my mind, oh yes, this is the sort of the images I want to pull from. And then I just draw it myself, how I see them. But it can be a really great way to sort of get your juices flowing. And that's really what I want to be emphasizing on this channel, is getting you to create. I'm never going to tell you to copy someone, but I am going to tell you that if you need something to stimulate you, there's no harm in sort of just seeing what other images are about in that space that you want to draw. It helps kickstart your creativity. And the easiest way to do that is just do a quick look at some things and then put it away. And then when you go to sit down, your mind will have created your own variation of what those things are. So I am using a Tombow marker, as always. I love these. And I'm just putting in some color, and then I'm turning them into water. Excuse me. I'm just putting some water on them to move them around as if they were a watercolor. It takes the ink from the from the marker and turns them into more of a watercolor look and feel. And I just really love the way that does that. I love the markers give me a great color palette. The pigment's fantastic. It's just a different dynamic than an actual watercolor. And of course, I have a very small, limited set of watercolors, and I have lots of Tombow markers. So, so I'm just getting in the basic coloring right now. I just really adore the chickens. Their feathers and the color of them are just stunning. And it's really hard to describe, but it's this very warm palette with browns and oranges and yellows, and then the silver gray in there is just, it's gorgeous. So I'm really inspired by that. I wanted to play with that color palette. As always, at the end, I'm going to go over all of the colors that I used and any materials that I used in the piece. And if you would like a color palette, a color swatching from this specific design, you can get that. I'll show you that at the end. You do need to comment below the video that you would like it, and then fill out the Your Creativity Matters so I get your email, and I will be happy to send that over to you. It's a free gift. There's no strings attached. Okay, so that's dried a little bit, and now we're going to start having some doodling fun. And I'm just taking a Posca marker and just giving it a quick outline over top of the charcoal pencil that I used in the beginning. This was a really fun exercise. I love when I do these types of things and I just sort of dive in with something like, oh, I'm inspired by this color, or oh, I'm inspired by this. In this case, it was my chickens. Um, I have no real idea what I want to do beyond just play with those colors and this particular shape. This piece actually took more than my normal creative time, and that's okay. But I'll skip forward through a lot of the parts that were very tedious, and that way you can see the technique without having to watch the entire thing. I think it makes for a much cleaner video and a better experience for you, I hope. If you like that, tell me in the comments. Don't be afraid to let me know. What do you think of this color palette? If you're new here, you know, I am very passionate about inspiring people to just get moving with their creativity. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just sharing my time, even though it's perfectly imperfect. And I'm not, you know, a famous artist or anything of that nature. I'm just sharing how I have fun with my creativity. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you're returning, I'm so happy that you're back. I hope you're enjoying these experiments. If you have something you'd love to see me do, let me know. I'm always looking for something to be inspired by. I love mark making and doodling, and I always find when I get to this stage, you know, see me here, I'm sort of hedging because I'm like, what do I want to do? What, you know, my mind suddenly goes blank. It's almost the same thing as the blank page. You know, you have a blank page in front of you and you don't, you're like hesitant where to start. It's the same thing, you know, with the doodles. So sometimes I'll have to do that too and just sort of like um, figure out, be inspired by some other doodles and go, oh, maybe I'll do some circles here, or maybe I'll do some lines, or maybe I'll do some shapes. I'm trying not to do that here on this piece. I'm strictly going solely on my own. I'm trying to listen to my intuition. I'm trying to get really dialed into what my intuition wants me to do with it when it comes to creativity. And if you haven't seen, I did a DIY journal making video that takes a magazine and turns it into a journal. And one of those journals is going to become a mark making journal. That's going to be a really interesting process that it will become a series, and I will be doing all kinds of different mark making experiments and tests within that space to keep sort of almost like, if you will, a swatch book on mark making. And this way, when I need some inspiration, I can go to my mark making journal and flip through it and remind myself of something that I did that I love and incorporate it into a piece. I think it's going to be really fun to do that process. I'm also going to do another mark making journal that will be specific to unique mark making tools. In that particular case, we're going to start with nature. So we'll have a nature inspired mark making journal book. What do you think about that? Does that sound neat? Do you have an idea? Do you have an inspiration for that? Okay, so I skipped forward a little bit. I don't want to bore you with too much of those details, but I filled in all of the feathers with some doodling and some lines, and now I'm just coming back and sort of adding in some more accentuation to those. At the end of the video, I'll go over all of the items that I use so that you can, if you really want to copy or you want to use the exact same colors, you can. If you just want the color swatch to be inspired by the palette, you can get that. I'll have a a sample of what that is at the end, so be sure to stick around for that. So what I'm doing right now is coming back with a little bit more Tombow of the same color, and I'm just hitting it with a little bit of water. I'm just trying to give it some texture. Um, so just adding a little elements of the color and then spreading it with water will give it dimension and help to just create more interest. It helps to create shading. It looks a little more textural. And there I'm focusing in on the seam of the feather, or the I don't know what that technical term for that is. There's the bone, I guess, in the middle of the feather, just to make it recede in the center a little bit. And you can see how that just added a whole other layer of visual interest to those feathers. Because you can see I did it on the brown ones and I haven't done it on the other ones yet. So now I'm just adding some orange onto this one. A little more yellow. I bet feathers themselves would make really amazing marks for mark making. So we'll definitely have that for our nature-inspired mark making journal. I'm really tongue-tied this morning. I apologize. So that little detail really made a big difference, don't you think? Look at how it really enhanced the feathers. Okay, so this is the part that took forever. When you look at the chickens that I was inspired by, Shirley in particular, you know, the way her feathers lay almost look, it's similar to like a scale, like a fish scale effect, except obviously it's feathers, it's a little bit bigger. I was very inspired by that shape, and I'm just replicating that here. It's a little tedious. It's going to take some time. And then I also realized that I wanted to do more work within those shapes once they were down. And so now I'm coming back and adding in a little bit of stippling into them. Because if you look closely at, excuse me, her feathers, they do have little, you know, marks all within them. So they're not just a flat layer of color. They have little specks of black and darker gray and brown. And so I'm just trying to be inspired by that and sort of replicate it a little bit. So I'm going to add in these dots, and then I'm also going to add in this little line towards the tip of the shape. I'm going to pull this closer to the camera and try to give you a little bit closer look at what I'm doing. So as you can imagine, this is a little bit tedious, but it's very therapeutic. It's very meditative. But it does take a little bit of time. So depending on how you create your creative time, I'm really trying to teach people to dedicate a little bit of creative time every day or several times a week. So if you're allocating, you know, let's say an hour a day or a half hour a day or 15 minutes or whatever it is, you could certainly do this same exercise. You would just sort of break it up and it would become your project for the week, right? So the first time you might kind of get in the feathers and the the Tombow coloring in the first layer and maybe the first round of doodles. That might be all you accomplish the first day. And then I'm also coming in with this gray, and I'm just, the feathers aren't flat, if you will. So there's shading that sort of helps them to pop out a little bit. Ooh, my camera's really not liking that. I apologize. Wow, okay. I must have it at just the wrong position. It got bumped and moved out of the way, and so something must be off. My apologies. Again, perfectly imperfect. I'm not a video production. So see there, I'm trying to give you a closer look. And then that little tiny rounded point that I just made, I'm just coming in and hitting it with this ochre color. But I'm really loving this piece. I love the way it's coming together. I'm really not overthinking anything I'm doing. I'm just sort of running with an inspiration that comes. Oh, I want to add a line here. Let me add a line here. And just following out whatever that inspiration is, because I'm just playing. This isn't, going in any museum or anything of that nature. I'm just experimenting. I think that's the biggest thing that I really want to get across is that remove any expectation of your piece, right? If you're creating to make a masterpiece, you're going to be disappointed every time, and it creates a bad experience. It isn't going to be fulfilling. It's going to leave you feeling a little frustrated, and it will keep you from doing more play. So if you remove those expectations and recognize that it's just a practice piece. You're just playing around. You'll have so much more fun and you'll create so much more. Okay, so now you really can't see this too well on the camera, but this is a metallic Posca in bronze, which just looks absolutely stunning on here. And while the chickens aren't metallic, their feathers do have that quality to them. In particular, there's a bronze color on the chicken, and also the silver. They just have this sort of metallic feel to them. This is a Sharpie gel pen, which is okay, but it's not really it's not as good as the Pilot or the the Uniball or whatever. I also try to use the Jelly Roll. I think that's what it's called, a Jelly Roll pen in white. I'm so frustrated with white gel pens. I have yet to find one that really just works. Actually, the one Posca marker, it's a really tiny one. You're going to see me switch over to it because this just isn't giving me what I'm after. I mean, it's an okay effect, but it just doesn't, I don't, it must be something about trying to create the white pigment. It struggles. If you know of a fantastic gel pen in white that is opaque and consistent and you're thrilled with, I would love to know what it is. So I'm just coming back and adding in some details to add in some color and some interest to these pieces. I've shared before that I am in the process of creating my lifelong dream of having my own studio. I'm so excited. We're getting so close to being ready with it. I had the internet installed yesterday. I'm so excited that that is now in place. So I'll be sharing a lot more about that whole process once we get a little bit more situated with it and I have cohesive information to share with you. But if you don't know, I live in a tiny house on a mountain over a river. It's a glorious. I feel like I'm on vacation all the time. But I also have another cabin that I'm turning into my studio, and I'm super excited about it. If you have any must-have items for a studio that maybe you did a studio and you regret that you didn't do something, hit me up. Let me know. I'm a former interior designer with a stack of awards, so I'm pretty versed at designing a space. I think I've got all my stations that I desire and all those things, but I would love to hear if there's something that you didn't incorporate in your studio that you regret or anything of that nature. I would love, please feel free to share it with me in the comments. Let me know. So I'm just having fun here. I'm just adding in details. It's no, there's no pre-designated thought about this. I'm just picking up the color and going, oh, let me do this or let me do that. I did add in some shading there underneath of the feathers, and now I'm coming back and I'm just giving dimension to the shading so that it's even darker at the edge of the feather, and then progressively gets lighter so that that shading really helps that to pop off the page. Speaking of chickens, there's a chicken at the door pecking at the glass door. I hope that's not being too disruptive. And I have to apologize. The focus is really having a hard time here. It keeps going in and out. It must be at a distance from my paper that's not the same as it normally was. When they were here installing and messing around with the internet, my camera got moved, and I guess I didn't put it right back in the exact same spot. I'm so sorry. Okay, so if you didn't catch what I just did there on I did 3 layers on the side of that shadow. I gave it a crisp black line. I re-crisped the black line. I gave it a thin, darker shadow right next to the feather, and then a wider gray shadow line. So it progressively gets lighter. Now I'm just coming back in with a little bit of highlight. I'm not trying to be really specific. It's very loose and free. I think one of my favorite things is going into a piece with no idea of really what I want to do, other than just the inspiration of either a color or idea or whatever it is, and having no expectation and then being pleasantly surprised with the outcome and having a lot of fun creating the piece. That for me is a beautiful cocktail of using my own creativity, taking an idea, turning it into something, enjoying the process, and feeling good about it at the end. And that's something that I want you to pay attention to. You really, when you create something, your goal should be to be satisfied. It should make you feel good and bring you joy. So I was exploring there slightly if I wanted to add in a little bit of another color. And I kind of backed off of it. I hit it in 1 or 2 spots and then thought, I don't know if I really want to do this. And so now I'm just taking this brown color. It's like a cacao or cacao, however you want to pronounce that. Uh, and I'm just hitting some tips in there just to add another color that they have in their feathers. I don't know why, I just wanted to hit this charcoal line a little bit more loosely on the outside of that. But I think we're getting close here. So I didn't want to leave the feathers in the background just white, so I'm hitting them with a soft yellow color. And I'm not being super specific. I'm not making it a solid color because I just want to give the feathers some dimension. So now you can see I'm coming back where I am filling in those spaces with a lighter gray. So basically what I did was loosely color with a light yellow and a light gray so that it's not flat. And I even left some of the areas uncolored, so there was still an element of white, so they suddenly had some more dimension to them. So we're getting close to the end. Don't forget to stick around, and in just a minute here we'll have all the colors and products I used, and we'll also have the color palette or the color swatch from this particular piece. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification button. I'd really love it if you have friends or you know of other people, or you know you're in a group and you think that they would love to be a part of this channel or see what I'm doing. I'd really appreciate you sharing the channel. My mission is just to inspire people to be creative. I've wanted to do this channel for a long time, and I put it off and put it off and put it off and made all kinds of excuses because I'm a terrible perfectionist and I was trying to make it perfect. And as you can see, it's not perfect. So that's okay. I've matured and grown and learned to get past all that. And the channel's here, and I thank you for watching. So let me know what you think of this. I really love this color palette. I think I'm going to do some more exploring with it. It really resonates with me. So I'm just coming back and giving a black line around the edge of my tape. You know I love the tape. I love to pull the tape. I love, it feels like I'm unwrapping a present. I'm not using a ruler. I just kind of use the edge of the tape to sort of inspire me along the way here with that. And there she is, all done. Okay, so we're using Poscas here. These are, you know, I used black in a couple different sizes. We have, let's see, we've got bronze, gold, cacao, you know, that's a terrible word. I'm butchering. Orange and ochre, and white, of course, black. I use a few different sizes of those. And then we're going to go into our Tombos. We've got 946 gold ochre, 969 chocolate, 757 port red, 991 light ochre, N95 a cool gray, N79 a warm gray, a Sharpie gel pen, and a charcoal pencil. And now we're going to take a look at what the color swatch palette is inspired by this. Look at that. It's just stunning. Thanks for watching. See you next time.